Good evening mga kaibigan! Andito na naman po tayo in My Toolbox, a weekly talk show for your personal finance here at PHLV Radio. The goal of this show is to give you financial information that you may be able to use on your day-to-day financial decisions. Of course, mga kap, we will of course unbox topics that hopefully will be able to aid you and guide you and maybe even add to your financial tools. Mga kaibigan, we will tackle important information mostly not taught in school. But of course, this is so much needed to empower you financially. Again, mga kaibigan, in any idea that will transpire in the show, always consult with your financial advisors, insurance professionals, tax consultants, etc. Alright, my name is Enrico Pobre. I'm your host. I'm a sales, marketing, and trainer, an economist, an entrepreneur, and of course, I'm a financial professional. So if you have questions, ask them away in the chat box below. If you will be listening with this in the show on a later time, please feel free to connect with me through Facebook page in My Toolbox, or connect with me via Instagram or LinkedIn, or simply Google my name, Enrico Pobre. I bet you won't miss me. Or you can email me at enrico.inmytoolbox@gmail.com. Ayan na naman mga kaibigan. Thank you so much for being in our show tonight. Of course, ito na naman panibagong episode ng In My Toolbox. Ang ating topic ngayon, types of insurance. Medyo mabalik tayo dyan. But these are the insurance that you cannot live without. Kasi, syempre, in our idea, when people hear about insurance, it's something that I wish this is something that I will not pay. But of course, there's so much idea evolving around in insurance. So this is not just life insurance. Any type of insurance. By the word itself, it is to insure, di ba? So insurance siya. Paying for insurance month after month kasi, when you don't, especially when you don't need it, can be really a drag. So you might even feel like you're paying for nothing. Kasi nga, it's something that you don't see, But don't get tricked on believing into that type of an idea. Insurance kasi might not be as flashy or obvious as something like your car or or your house or something that on the negative side, something that's a growing debt. Insurance kasi is very important when it comes on things on the defensive side of the game plan on your finance. That's actually your defense. A lot of things kasi with finance, we all think about, the offensive part of finance. Now, insurance kasi on the other hand is your defense. This is your defensive plan on your financial planning. So, you have to think of insurance, in any type of insurance, guys, that it's just like a life jacket. So it's like that, a life jacket, something that you need to have but you don't want to use. That's what insurance is all about, So, ibig sabihin, it feels like, there's a pain when you don't need it. But when you do need it, you're actually very thankful that you actually did a good job of having it. Syempre, something that's not happening right now, syempre, you're not going to be using that insurance, di ba? But when the time comes that you actually needed an insurance, you will thank yourself, or even you will thank the person who actually sold you that type of insurance, that, my God, I'm so thankful that you even disturbed me, on this insurance because now I'm using it. So it's all about, kasi insurance is all about transferring risk. So you transfer the risk. Without insurance, you can be one car wreck, sickness, emergency away from having a huge financial mess on your hand. That's what it is. We just don't know. I'm paying for something that I don't actually need. Well, you don't need it now. It's good that you don't need it because it's something that you don't want to happen. But at least if in cases that something happens, there is this insurance that you'll be thankful for. So again, the topic tonight, guys, is just what are those insurances that are worth having, or insurances that you cannot live without. So yan naman. So those are the things that we're going to talk about tonight. This is going to be a short one, but at least this is some of the things that you would want to do, your checklist right now. Or do I have that? And now that's important. Okay, so this is just this is just an idea that I'll be breaking down in front of you right now. That everything that you need to know about insurances that you need to have. Let's just talk about number one. It's a life insurance. It can be a term life insurance or whole life insurance. If there's only one type of insurance that you would want to sign up for, after listening to what I'm going to tell you about today, so it can be a term insurance or a life insurance. Now, the two differences, the differences of a term insurance and a whole life policy or a permanent insurance is just very easy. A term insurance, of course, as the word itself is term, term. Ibig sabihin, there's a time that it will terminate, di ba? A permanent insurance, as long as you pay your premium, it's going to be there all your life. So that's the only difference there. But definitely, in general term, an insurance that you need to have is to have a life insurance. Because in cases something happens to you, there's something that you will replace income for your family. So, but then again, if there are two things that's certain in this world, number one, you pay taxes. Number two, definitely we're all gonna die. So if there's something that you need to have, and protect, well, that's your life. And there's value to your life. You put value to it by getting life insurance. So something happens to you today, at least something can replace the income for the family that you left behind. So the insurance is very important. And sadly, only 54% of Americans have life insurance. So can you imagine 54% of American has life insurance, but the chances of dying is 100%. See, so I don't think those are very good odds, right? So that's something that you need to think about. Now, permanent insurance naman, on the other hand, as long as you're paying your premium, you keep that up until the end. So either way, think about this. If you were to die unexpectedly, so sudden death, how would your spouse or your family pay for your monthly expenses without income? That's going to be hard, So the last thing that you would want your grieving family is to worry about how to keep food on the table. So right now, siguro, a lot of families just making ends meet, di ba? So right now, if that's the case, and then somebody we die and we are the breadwinner of our family, can you imagine how dreadful it will be in a family that there's no food on the table? So that's, in fact, a good idea now to consider that's one thing that you cannot live without, to have a life insurance. Usually kasi, once you just have to understand that, we have value in our lives. So that's what you need to do, especially now the capacity of making money. That's something that you need to consider as well. So the way to compensate that when you pass on, is to have that life insurance. You can actually leave money behind for your family. But then again, not everybody look at it that very important. But for me, definitely that's something that you cannot live without. So connect with the people or your insurance agents that you guys have there. Sit down with them. Talk about these two types of life insurance. But definitely, this is something that you cannot afford not to have. So, and if, some people kasi, they think that they don't need life insurance just because, you're young and single. Again, I'm going to tell you, the younger you are today, the more that you need to have one. And actually, it will cost you. I'll give you an example, guys. And I have a client, really. She just called me last week. Hey, Enrico, I was just paying $44 for X amount of dollars. And once it actually expired, it's going to expire this April, and they're charging me $2,000 every month. Can you imagine that? That's from $44 to $2,000 a month. Who would afford that, right? So that's the reason why, guys, if you think you're young and you're single, you don't need life insurance, I think you need to think twice about that. So that's exactly what I'm trying to talk about, guys, that you need to have a life insurance of some sort. I'm not going to dig deeper into that because that's going to be another topic in the future, but I just would want to make sure, guys, that I would want to show you these insurances that you need to have. Number two, it's auto insurance. So you should never drive around uninsured. Exactly. Not just because it's against the law, but also because getting in a fender bender can be very expensive. Let me just tell you another story about auto insurance before I dive deep into that. Didn't you know in my own knowledge, that everything else inside your car, outside your car, it's insured except the driver. So that's exactly the reason why I would want to make sure that you understand what auto insurance is covering. So you, the driver, you're not insured because you are going to be the one giving the risk, right? So that's the reason why, guys, you have to understand what your auto insurance is all about. But nonetheless, this is an insurance that you cannot live without. The Insurance Information Institute says that the average loss per claim on cars is around $1,000. So imagine having to pay that kind of money out of pocket. That's a lot of money. I'm telling you, oh, Enrico, it's only $1,000. Yeah, but not for everybody. See? So the good news is that you've got options when you actually think about auto insurance. And there's no reason not to understand it. You have to understand what you're paying for. So there are different type of coverage in auto insurance, right? So we have what you call liability coverage. If you're responsible for an accident, your liability coverage will take care of the cost of any injury or property damage caused in the collision. So most states kasi make you to carry a basic minimum amount of coverage. So again, what I will do at this point is I will check with my insurance, or you guys check with your insurance agent to figure out how much you actually really need. There's another coverage for auto insurance called collision coverage. So this covers the cost to repair or replace your car if it's damaged or totaled. Okay, so that's another coverage that you would want to talk about with your insurance agent. Another thing is comprehensive coverage. So everybody knows about this one, this comprehensive coverages. This level of insurance covers your losses that aren't caused by the wreck itself, like theft, vandalism, flood, fire, and hail. So again, guys, this is something that you would want to talk about, with your insurance agent. So what type of insurance that is actually needed, that you actually needed, okay? So number 3, let's talk about homeowners and renters insurance. Who doesn't have homeowners insurance? Who doesn't have renters insurance? Whether you own a home or you are renting, it's really a good idea to have homeowners or renters insurance. I do have one, so that will be able to cover you. If you already have a home insurance policy, make sure that it actually includes this fancy thing called extended dwelling coverage. This is a kind of coverage kasi that adds an extra layer of protection above and beyond your policy limit. So ask about this with your insurance professionals or your insurance agent. So here's the thing with extended dwelling coverage, and just to give you an idea, it's an insurance that will replace or rebuild your property even if the cost goes over your policy's coverage. Bang! So you actually knows that. You already know that, right? So there's a limit to how much they'll pay out kasi. Usually 20-25% above the amount you've insured, or unless you opt for more coverage. Remember, the higher your home value, the higher the need of extended dwelling coverage. So when it comes to homeowner insurance, mga kaibigan, it's always a good idea to check things with your agent. Me, I love talking to my agents. I sit down with them every year. Sometimes there's nothing to, I don't even think that there's something to talk to, but believe me, guys, there's something to talk about. So, you talk to them about your policy covers or coverage. There might be some coverages or something, your policy is not covering already, or something that's new out there, etc. That's why it's very important to sit down with them. It's not just always about the cost, So, and you just don't want any surprises. That's actually how, that's the reason why I want to talk to my insurance agents every now and then. And just like, for example, what can cover in your, in your home insurance, right? Flood insurance. Most homeowners don't know that flood insurance, again, does not come with their regular policies. So flood insurance is also different than water backup protection, and it's have you seen this, what they call all clear as mud? So ask this one to your agent, and it just will make sense once you talk to them and sit down with them about all of these things. Hurricane insurance. If you don't have, if you are not in an area where anywhere near a body of water, this insurance is not for you. So If you live near the coast, you might want to look into hurricane insurance. Remember, if you don't have wind insurance coverage or separate hurricane deductible, your homeowner's insurance policy won't cover any hurricane insurance. Another thing that you would want to take note is an earthquake coverage. So I hope mga kaibigan, you're taking notes right now, right? Or you might have any checklist there. Or just try to see if you can remember what type of a policy that you have. But I bet you don't remember that. Mostly because you don't really remember what the policy coverages are. So earthquake coverage, depending on where you live in the country, earthquake coverage might not be included in your homeowner's coverage. So if you live in a place where earthquakes are known to shake things up, you might want to, put this or include it into your policy. Remember, if you are homeowners, those are the items that you would want to look into. But if you are a renter, you're not off the hook of insurance either, without renter's insurance. So it's up to you to replace your belongings if, they're lost in fire, flood, burglary, or some other disasters. So plus, sa bagay, a lot of landlords naman or may mga apartments will require you to have renter's insurance anyway. So this is good for you. So a good independent insurance agent, guys, is something that you would want to talk to about all of these things. So they will guide you to every steps of the way, covering the basics of of homeowners insurance or a renter's insurance. Yeah, naman, no? So another thing, of course, that you need an insurance that you cannot live without. My God, I think this is the most expensive one. When you don't have one, I'm telling you, it's gonna drain you. In fact, this is one of the reasons why people, go bankrupt because of what? Health issues. So you might want to have health insurance. So this is super important, mga kaibigan, because this health insurance coverage is the most maybe expensive, item on this list that I have. Because here's the truth, guys. If you don't have health insurance, you're leaving yourself wide open to a money disaster. We talked about that before, these financial disasters. Now, health insurance can actually lead you to bankruptcy, money disaster. Just one of the what do you call this? The medical bills, right? It's just, let's just talk about medicines. It's just expensive if you don't have insurance. Try to talk to your pharmacist and just joke around. I don't have insurance. How much this will cost? So don't put yourself in a position by not having this health insurance. It's not an excuse, by the way, to go without these coverages. Even if you don't go to doctor a lot, you need to have health insurance. So to help cut back on cost of health insurance, you could get a high deductible health insurance plan. If you are, if you don't go frequently to the hospital or doctors anyway, just get that high deductible in health insurance. At least you have a health insurance. So you're on the hook to pay more upfront, on your healthcare cost, but you'll pay lower monthly premium. That's what it is. So, and of course, the reverse of that, right? So, I don't know if you've heard, guys, about HSAs. So, you might want to talk to your agents about HSAs because there are some benefits that HSAs can give you. Number one, tax deduction. You can deduct HSA contributions from your gross pay or business income. That's a good thing. In 2022, if you're single, you can deduct $1,400. If in a family, that's $2,800. Can you imagine? You can deduct that. And that's actually a good thing, right? So another thing, HSA is tax-free growth. You can invest the funds you contribute to your HSA and they grow tax-free now that you can use now or in the future. Or another thing is tax-free withdrawal. You can use the money tax-free on qualified medical expenses like health insurance deductibles, vision, and dental. So if I were you guys, sit down with your insurance agents, health insurance agents, and they can actually give you more information about these things that I'm telling you, especially on the HSA. So some companies now offer high deductible health plans with HSA accounts, so and even traditional health insurance plans, they also have that. So take a look at your options, give time, sit down with your agents ask them about high deductible plan that could end up saving you money on the premiums, or you can actually go to an independent agent that can help you walk through high deductible health plan options that you can combine with HSA. Okay. So another thing that you need to have is long-term disability insurance. I don't know, guys, if you're familiar, especially here in Nevada, we don't have disability, so that's probably is something that you would want to look into. So long-term disability insurance is another thing. This will protect you from losing your income if you're unable to work. And this can help you because as the word itself, it says long-term, right? So it will actually give you a long-term stretch of time because of an illness or injury. So don't think a permanent disability could sideline you and your ability to work. Think again. Think about that, guys. So the Social Security Administration say that just over 1 in 4 of today's 20-year-old will become disabled before reaching age 67. So that's 25%. So who amongst you? I'm not praying, but I'm just telling, that's the math, right? So the odds here, guys, is just too high for you to skip on long-term disability insurance. It's just too high. So there's no excuse why you will not be able to take a look on this long-term disability insurance. So especially now, if you're in your prime income, by the way, guys, when you say you're in your prime income, this is the time of your life that you are actually in your prime of making money. Just like in basketball in NBA, right? What are those ages that they tell you that's your prime? That now this is your prime. This is your athletic life. This is the time you would want to make more money, versus thinking about this later on that you might not be able to even make money, right? So imagine this is your prime income earning years if this is your if that's the age that you have right now, right? So a permanent disability could derail your dreams of home ownership or even paying, college for your kids, right? So bottom line here is, guys, make sure you're covered. That's just it. That's the bottom line. Tons of companies out there offers long-term disability insurance for their employees. So you might want to look at it and you can actually start there. So this thing that I'm talking to you guys about, the long-term disability insurance, is something that you need to have. You cannot live without. And this is so different with long-term care insurance. So long-term care insurance is a different thing. This is focused on when the time comes. If you cannot perform 2 out of the 6 activities of daily living, so this actually covers a ton of services like nursing home care, in-home health care, with as basic as helping you taking a bath, grooming, eating. These are what you call the activities of daily living. Usually, guys, long-term care means those who have chronic illness or disability that needs ongoing help. Can you imagine, guys? Just imagine if you cannot walk or you cannot even move your arms now. Who's gonna bathe you? You can't do it by yourself, right? So who's gonna dress you up? Those are the things, right? So it's just an activity that you usually do it daily that you can't do anymore. So that's actually where long-term care comes in. And the costs are usually covered. By the way, Medicare doesn't cover this. You might want to talk to your Medicare experts. They usually don't cover it. So you want to sit down with them and see how you can avail of long-term care. Okay, so again, for people, you actually work 40 years of your life. Now, to protect your retirement savings from getting drained, by long-term care, you might want to think about looking what long-term care is. So especially, guys, especially nowadays, it's just expensive to have all of those, right? So another thing that you might be surprised, an insurance that you cannot live without is an identity theft protection. What, Enrico? Identity theft protection? Yeah. I actually was not a believer of this up until I saw it in my own eyes, with a friend of mine. And she just got robbed really big time, So identity theft nowadays is not a joke, guys, Even if you're too careful about protecting your personal information. In fact, in 2021, identity fraud released by, a certain company said that identity threat losses added up $56 billion in 2022. I mean, in 2020. $56 billion. That's actually how much it cost, you know? And data breaches are in the news too many times. I don't know if you've heard that. You know, maybe if it's not you, maybe you know somebody. And that's just how terrible it is out there right now. So think about it. With just a few important bits of information about you, you know, social security, date of birth, your address, you know, criminals have all they need to do is a number on your money, you know, by taking out mortgage by your name, opening up lines of credit, filing a false tax return. You might be surprised, guys, how these criminals can really get your identity just like that, you know. So cleaning up an identity fraud situation, especially, right, you know, that part of cleaning it up. If something happens, you clean it up. Oh my God, it takes years. It takes a lot of money, and you cannot handle it by your own. So make sure your insurance includes identity theft services that can actually help you clean up the mess for you. All right. So I think this is the last thing that I'm going to tell you about umbrella policy. That's an insurance, something that you cannot live without. So an umbrella policy adds up an extra layer of protection for you and your assets. And when you need coverage that goes above and beyond your homeowner's or auto insurance. So let's just say you end up, at fault for a multiple vehicle accident. Well, I saw that just, the other day, and it's not fun. Your medical bills and property damages could quickly add up to more than your auto insurance when, even more, So even if you're sued for the difference, your savings, your home, and even your future wages could be on the chopping board. So you don't want that, right? So protect yourself from a situation like this, that with personal liability umbrella policy, so you can actually get this for, if you have a net worth of over $500,000 or more, you can actually apply for that, for a very few $100s a year. So an umbrella policy, really, talk to your agent and get them to explain to you how powerful the umbrella policy can help you protect your finances as well. So that's just it for me, guys. One thing to remember when you're looking at all of these things that I mentioned, stay away from gimmick policies like, I don't want to, you know this. Look for those small insurances out there. I just tell it like a gimmick policy because if you really would want to understand it, there are some insurance that you don't really need, So just make sure that the packages your coverage with your investments, as covers all of these necessary things that I mentioned today. And these types of insurance policies are just a way for, how some agents just to make a sale, so we don't like that. So you need to get an insurance agent that's going to be on your side, not on the side of the insurance company. That's why, I want to make sure, guys, when you sit down with an insurance agent, you talk to another one and talk to another one, at least talk to three, right? So again, guys, this is Enrico Pobre. You're listening to In My Toolbox. Again, maraming salamat sa inyong mga oras. Magandang gabi mga kaibigan. Good night!